كاميرا رائد اوكي ولا خلاص؟ خلاص كثير كثير.
النشيد الوطني للكرسي الرسولي السلام الملكي البحريني. سلام قف. كتان لا. استاذن جلالتكم بانصراف حرس الشرف سيد امر سيد. حرس الى الداخل. شوف معتدل سر.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Your Majesty, King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa, King of the Kingdom of Bahrain. Your Holiness, Pope Francis of the Vatican. Your Highnesses, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, a very good evening. It is a great honor and a pleasure to welcome you all here tonight to this great gathering marking this historic visit. On this occasion, the speech of His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa, King of the Kingdom of Bahrain.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. قداسة البابا فرانسيس، الحضور الكريم، باسمنا وباسم جميع أهل البحرين الكرام، يسعدنا أن نرحب بقداستكم في مملكة البحرين ضيفاً كريماً عزيزاً، وأن نعرب لكم عن اعتزازنا بزيارتكم المباركة والتاريخية لأرض الحضارات العريقة الممتدة عبر التاريخ، في بلد التسامح والتعايش والسلام، متمنين لكم وللوفد المرافق طيب الإقامة. وأننا على ثقة بأن زيارتكم هذا التي تعنى لنا الكثير، لما لكم من مكانة رفيعة وتقدير عظيم في العالم أجمع.
Laudetur Jesus Christus, and welcome to today's live broadcast of Pope Francis' meeting with authorities, members of civil society, and members of the diplomatic corps, the first major public engagement on his apostolic journey to the Kingdom of Bahrain. You're joining us live with the event already in progress. You hear in the background the King of Bahrain, 𝒂𝒵d bin Isa Al Khalifa, who is now speaking in front of the royal palace with Pope Francis at his side. In a few moments, we'll be hearing the Holy Father's address as well. My name is Christopher Wells. I'll be providing the English language commentary for this evening's event. Whether you're joining us through the various Vatican media channels, the Vatican audio or radio app, the Vatican News web portal, or our Vatican News YouTube channel, or via one of our partner stations, including Catholic Faith Network, 𝒂𝒗 TV, Shalom World TV, Shalom World Television Networks USA, EWTN TV, Sultan Light TV, Luminous Radio, Catholic TV, Shalom TV India, or Sunday Shalom. A very warm welcome, one and all. As we mentioned, we are joining the meeting with civil leaders and the diplomatic corps already in progress. The King of Bahrain has welcomed Pope Francis to Bahrain as an honored guest, a dear guest, expressing his pride in what he described as the blessed and historic visit of Pope Francis to the land of ancient civilizations, thousands of years old, to the land of tolerance, coexistence, and peace, and wishing the Pope and his entourage a very pleasant stay in the country. The king is speaking in Arabic, so we will not be providing a full translation of his remarks, but giving précis of his talk based on the prepared speech that has been provided for us.
ونشكر الله على نعمه الكثيرة
The king speaks about Pope Francis's
أن نشير هنا
moral authority and high esteem in which he is held throughout the world, as well as his praiseworthy and blessed efforts to find consensus and mutual appreciation, and expresses the hope that the Holy Father will leave a great moral and spiritual imprint on the souls of those who love you in the Gulf region and in the Arab world.
إلى غيره من الوثائق الهامة التي تسعى لذات الهدف من أجل تثبيت مواقفنا المشتركة نحو عالم يسوع
He speaks too about the mutual high regard and faith in which both the kingdom and the Holy Father hold dialogue and communication, especially among the followers of the monotheistic religions,
في الإسهام الفاعل نحو هذه الأهداف النبيلة لخير
including a high regard for the truth and the desire for reform.
دوما على أهمية الشراكة الدولية التي تعتمد الحوار الدبلوماسي والسبل السلمية
He also highlights the need to protect and promote peace through the consolidation of the values of justice, charity, tolerance, and mutual respect.
وعدم التدخل
And adds, we join His Holiness in saying that peace is our only path to hope for a secure future where friendship and stability reign.
الدوليين كما وندعو على وجه الخصوص إلى وقف الحرب الروسية الأوكرانية وبدء المفاوضات الجادة بين الطرفين ولن تتأخر مملكة البحرين عن القيام بأي دور في هذا المجال.
The king notes the ancient roots of the kingdom of Bahrain,
بأن مثل هذه الشراكات الدولية الفاعلة ستسهم دون شك
including some 5,000 years of human and cultural capital, and the fact that Bahrain, because of its unique position, has been a meeting place for many world civilizations. It's been a place of connection between East and West,
للتصدي لموجات الفكر
especially encouraging trade between different cultures and religions. He highlights the open and tolerant climate of his nation,
من منظور إنساني جامع يضع في اعتباره حفظ المصالح العالمية وخير
and expresses hope that the Holy Father will experience
تحديث وتطوير النظام الدولي ليكون أكثر عدالة ومساواة وإنصافا لجميع الأمم
the peaceful coexistence among followers of different religions, which he says marks his country.
وأنتم تؤدون مهامكم الجليلة في خدمة البشرية من أجل تنوير العقول وتقوية إيمان القلوب وبث الأمل في النفوس.
And speaks about the freedom of followers of different religions to exercise their beliefs and build places of worship.
هنا بقول الله تعالى يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم
While noting the special relationship of Islam in his country,
شعوبا وقبائل
but notes that religious freedom is fostered by his reign,
خبير صدق الله العظيم.
and describes that as a reality that Bahrain has always protected to ensure social stability and human civilization.
سعيدة على قدر سعادتنا بمقدمكم وامتناننا بقبول دعوتنا فمرحبا
The king also highlights an initiative launched by Bahrain to support peace efforts in the world, the Declaration of the Kingdom of Bahrain, launched a few years ago, a document that calls for diversity and rejecting religious discrimination and condemning violence and incitement to violence. And the king has finished his address, we will now be hearing from our Holy Father, Pope Francis. Who I believe will be speaking in Italian. The Holy Father begins by greeting the King, the members of the royal family, members of the government and diplomatic corps, as well as distinguished religious and civil authorities, and greets them with the Arabic greeting, Assalamu alaikum. I express my deep gratitude to His Majesty for his invitation to visit the Kingdom of Bahrain, for his warm and gracious welcome and his kind words. I greet all of you most cordially. I'd like to address a word of friendship and affection to everyone living in this country, to every believer and individual, and to the members of every family, which the Constitution of Bahrain defines as the basis of society. To all I express my joy to be here in your midst. Here, where the waters of the sea surround the sands of the desert and imposing skyscrapers rise beside traditional Oriental markets, very different realities come together. Ancient and modern converge, tradition and progress mix, and above all, people from various backgrounds create a distinctive mosaic of life. In preparing for my visit, I learned about one outstanding emblem of vitality in this country, which is the Tree of Life, Shajarat al-Hayat. I'd like to take it as my inspiration for sharing a few thoughts with you. The tree itself is a majestic acacia that has survived for centuries in a desert area with very little rainfall. It seems impossible that a tree of this age has been able to live and flourish in these conditions. According to many people, the secret is to be found in its roots, which extend for dozens of meters beneath the ground, drawing from the subterranean deposits of water. So, the roots. The Kingdom of Bahrain is committed to remembering and cherishing its past, which tells of an extremely ancient land, to which thousands of years peoples came, drawn by its beauty, due especially to the abundant springs of fresh water that gave it the reputation of being a paradise. The ancient kingdom of Andaman was thus called the land of the living. As we ascend from these vast roots, which spread for more than 4,500 years of uninterrupted human presence, we see how Bahrain's geographical position, the talents and commercial abilities of its people, together with historical events, have enabled Bahrain to take shape as a crossroads of mutual enrichment between peoples. One thing stands out in the history of this land: it has always been a place of encounter between different peoples. This is, in fact, the life-giving water from which today, too, Bahrain's roots continue to be nourished. The country's greatest riches shine forth in its ethnic and cultural diversity and in the peaceful coexistence and the traditional hospitality of its people. Diversity that is not bland but inclusive is the wealth of every truly developed country. On these islands, we can admire a composite, multi-ethnic, and multi-religious society capable of overcoming the risk of isolation. This is so important in our time, when the tendency to turn in exclusively on ourselves and on our particular interests prevents an appreciation of the essential importance of the greater whole. The numerous national, ethnic, and religious groups that coexist in Bahrain testify that we can and must live together in our world, which in these decades has become a global village. Indeed, although globalization has taken root, in many ways we still lack the spirit of a village, as shown by hospitality, concern for others, and a sense of fraternity.
Assistiamo con preoccupazione alla crescita su larga scala dell'indifferenza e del sospetto reciproco al dilatarsi di rivalità e contrapposizioni.
Instead, we are witnessing with deep concern the massive spread of indifference and our mutual distrust, the burgeoning of rivalries and conflicts that we had hoped were a thing of the past, in forms of populism, extremism, and imperialism that jeopardize the security of all. In spite of progress in so many forms of social and scientific achievements, the cultural disparity between various parts of the world is growing, and destructive attitudes of conflict are preferred to beneficial encounters, opportunities for fruitful encounter. Let us think instead of the tree of life, and to the parched deserts of human coexistence, let us bring the water of fraternity. May we never allow opportunities for encounter between civilizations, religions, and cultures to evaporate, or the roots of our humanity to become desiccated and lifeless. Let us work together. Let us work in the service of togetherness and hope. I am here in this land of the tree of life as a sower of peace in order to experience these days of encounter and to take part in a form of dialogue between East and West for the sake of peaceful human coexistence. I thank even now my traveling companions, especially the representatives of the religions. These days mark a precious stage in the journey of friendship that has intensified in recent years with various Islamic religious leaders, a fraternal journey that beneath the gaze of heaven seeks to foster peace on earth.
A tale proposito esprimo apprezzamento per le conferenze internazionali e per le opportunità di incontro che questo regno organizza e favorisce.
In this regard, I express my appreciation for the international conferences and the possibilities for encounter that this kingdom organizes and promotes, stressing in particular the themes of respect, tolerance, and religious freedom. These are fundamental themes recognized by the country's constitution, which lays down that there shall be no discrimination on the basis of sex, origin, language, religion, or creed, that freedom of conscience is absolute, and that the state guarantees the inviolability of worship. These are, above all, commitments that need constantly to be put into practice so that religious freedom will be complete and not limited to freedom of worship, that equal dignity and equal opportunities will be concretely recognized for each group and for every individual, that no forms of discrimination exist, and that fundamental human rights are not violated but promoted. I think in the first place of the right to life, of the need to guarantee that right always, including for those being punished, whose lives should not be taken. Let us return to the tree of life. In the course of time, its many branches of varying size have produced abundant foliage, thus increasing the tree's height and breadth. In this country, it was the remarkable contribution made by so many individuals from different peoples that enabled a remarkable increase in productivity. This was made possible by immigration. The Kingdom of Bahrain vaunts one of the highest levels of immigration in the world. About half of the resident population are foreigners, working in an evident way for the development of a country in which, despite leaving their native countries behind, they feel at home. At the same time, we must acknowledge that in our world, unemployment levels remain all too high, and much labor is in fact dehumanizing. This does not only entail a grave risk of social instability, but constitutes a threat to human dignity. For labor is not only necessary for earning a livelihood, it is a right indispensable for integral self-development and the shaping of a truly humane society. From this country, which is so attractive for the employment opportunities that it provides, I would like to call attention once more to the global labor crisis. labor crisis. Labor is as precious as bread. Like bread, it is often lacking, and often, too, it is a bread that is poisoned, since it enslaves.
Siano perciò ovunque garantite condizioni lavorative sicure e degne dell'uomo.
In both cases, what is central are no longer men and women who, rather than being the sacred and inviolable end and goal of work, are reduced instead to a mere means of producing wealth. Let us guarantee that working conditions everywhere are safe and dignified, that they foster rather than hinder people's cultural and spiritual growth, and that they serve to advance social cohesion to the benefit of common life and the development of each country. Bahrain can be proud of its significant contributions in this regard. I think, for example, of the first school for women established in the Gulf, and of the abolition of slavery. May it be a beacon through the region for the promotion of equal rights and improved conditions for workers, women, and young people, while at the same time ensuring respect and concern for all those who feel most at the margins of society, such as immigrants and prisoners. For an authentic, humane, and integral development is measured above all by the concern shown to them. The tree of life, rising up from the desert landscape, also makes me think of two critical areas for everyone, but challenge above all those who in governing are responsible for serving the common good. First, the question of the environment. How many trees are cut down? How many ecosystems are devastated? How many seas are polluted by our insatiable human greed, which then comes back to bite us? Let us work together tirelessly in confronting this dramatic emergency and enact concrete and far-sighted decisions inspired by concern for coming generations before it is too late and their future is compromised. May the United Nations Climate Change Conference, set to take place in Egypt a few days from now, mark a step forward in this regard. Second, the tree of life, whose roots, that deepen the subsoil, furnish vital water to the trunk, and from the trunk to the branches, and then the leaves that give oxygen to creatures, makes me think of our human vocation, the vocation of each man and woman on earth to make life flourish. Yet today we increasingly witness lethal actions and threats. I think especially of the monstrous and senseless reality of war, which everywhere sows destruction and crushes hope. War brings out the worst in man, selfishness, violence, and dishonesty. For war, every war brings in its wake the death of truth. Let us reject the logic of weapons and change course, diverting enormous military expenditures to investments in combating hunger and the lack of health care and education. I grieve deeply for all these situations of conflict. Surveying the Arab Peninsula, whose countries I greet with sincere respect, my thoughts turn in a particular and heartfelt way to Yemen, torn by a forgotten war that, like every war, issues not in victory, but only in bitter defeat for everyone. I especially keep in my prayers the civilians, the children, the elderly, and the sick, and I beg, let there be an end to the clash of weapons. Let us be committed everywhere and concretely to building peace. The Kingdom of Bahrain Declaration acknowledges in this regard that religious faith is a blessing to all mankind and the foundation for peace in the world. I am here today as a believer, as a Christian, as a man, and as a pilgrim of peace, because today, more than ever, we are called everywhere to commit ourselves seriously to peacemaking. Your Majesty, Your Royal Highnesses, distinguished authorities and friends, I thus make my own and share with you as my hope and prayer for these greatly desired days of my visit in the Kingdom of Bahrain, a fine passage of the same declaration. It reads, "We commit to working for a world where people of sincere belief join together to reject that which divides us and concentrate instead on celebrating and expanding on that which unites us. So may it be, with the blessing of the Most High. Shukran." Thank you.
Very much, Your Holiness. Your Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa, King of the Kingdom of Bahrain, Your Holiness Pope Francis of the Vatican, Your Highnesses, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, thank you very much for joining us. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
And the Holy Father has concluded his address. As we mentioned at the beginning of our broadcast, this is the first major event for the Pope's visit to Bahrain. He arrived in the kingdom just about an hour or so ago. And after a welcoming ceremony at the airport, the secure airbase in Awali, he paid a courtesy visit to His Majesty the King, where they were able to speak together privately at the Secure Royal Palace. Following that private meeting, there was the official welcome ceremony here in the courtyard of the palace. And now, of course, the meeting with authorities, members of civil society, and members of the diplomatic corps. With the conclusion of the speeches by the King and by Pope Francis, members of those groups now have the opportunity on 7 o'clock for Bahrain time. Tomorrow, the Holy Father will be celebrating Mass privately to begin the day. He will then take part in the closing of the Bahrain Forum for Dialogue, East and West for Human Coexistence. That was mentioned by both the King and by the Pope. Our Holy Father will be speaking at that event, and of course we'll be carrying that live. Tomorrow afternoon, the Pope will have a private meeting with the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, and later we'll have a meeting with members of the Muslim Council of Elders at the Mosque of the Secure Royal Palace, where the Pope will be speaking. Later, at the end of a busy day, the Holy Father will have an ecumenical encounter and prayer for peace at the cathedral. The Pope will also be speaking at that event. So a busy day tomorrow. We do invite you to join us for our live coverage on Vatican Radio of all of those various events. We invite you to visit our Vatican News web portal, www.vaticannews.va, where we'll have full coverage of all of the moments of the Holy Father's visit to Bahrain, as well as other church and world news. Once again, my name is Christopher Wells. It's been a great pleasure providing the English language translation of this evening's event with the authorities, members of civil society, and diplomatic corps in Bahrain, the Pope's first event on this 39th journey outside of Italy. On behalf of Vatican Radio, I'd like to thank our partners who help make these live broadcasts available throughout the world, including Catholic Faith Network, Atmadarshan TV, Shalom World Television Networks, USA, EWN TV, Salt and Light TV, Luminous Radio, Catholic TV, Shalom TV India, and Sunday Shalom. I'd like to thank all of our producers and technicians here in the studio who have made this broadcast possible. Finally, thanks to all of you for joining us today. Praise be Jesus Christ. Laudetur Jesus Christus.